Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into a novel that, well, truly took the world by storm. Yann Martel's Life of Pi.
hmm
And it's more than just survival, right? It's this amazing story, an Indian boy, a shipwreck, and unbelievably, a Bengal tiger sharing a lifeboat.
Yeah, it scooped up the Man Booker Prize, sold, what, over 10 million copies? But the real hook, I think, is how it weaves adventure, philosophy, and just surprise.
Totally. It keeps you guessing. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's sort of our mission for this deep dive, isn't it? To look beyond just the survival aspect.
hmm
We want to unpack how Martel uses this story to ask some really big questions, questions about reality, truth, um, faith. It really pushes you to think about the stories you choose to believe.
Okay, so let's start with Pi himself. Pusin Malator Patel. Great name origin, by the way.
Yeah, the swimming pool.
Exactly. But he shortens it to pi,
Yeah,
like the number, which is fitting somehow.
it is, and what's really key early on is his spiritual searching. He's not just sticking to one path,
No, he embraces Hinduism, Christianity, and Islam all at once. He famously says he just wants to love God.
which you can imagine kind of bewildered his parents.
Yeah.
But that openness, that searching really sets the stage for what happens next.
It does. So the catalyst is the family moving. They own a zoo, decide to emigrate to
Yeah,
Canada,
with their animals. They board a Japanese freighter, the Simsum,
and then disaster. The ship sinks out near Manila.
just sinks. Pi finds himself on a lifeboat, but he's not alone. Far from it.
No. He's got a hyena, an injured zebra, an orangutan orange juice.
And Richard Parker, the Bengal tiger. And that name, Richard Parker, it's such a fascinating little detail itself.
Oh, right, the clerical error.
Exactly. It was supposed to be the name of the human captor on the manifest, not the tiger. Adds another layer of strangeness.
So on the lifeboat, it's brutal at first.
Oh, absolutely primal. The hyena is vicious, attacks the zebra, then orange juice.
But then Richard Parker makes his presence known, comes out from under the tarp.
And that changes everything. He kills the hyena, takes charge, essentially.
And Pi, this is the incredible part. He doesn't just hide, he decides he has to tame this massive tiger.
Using a whistle, treats, asserting his own space. It sounds completely mad.
It does, but he does it. And somehow, Richard Parker, this constant deadly threat, actually becomes vital for Pi's survival over those 227 days.
It's this partnership, this unbelievable scenario that leads us straight into the novel's core question, really, about truth.
Right, because we get to part 3, Pi is rescued, and he's talking to these Japanese officials investigating the sinking.
And they're skeptical, understandably. So Pi tells them the story we've just heard, the animals, the whole incredible journey.
And they just don't believe it. It's too fantastical.
Exactly. So Pi says, okay, and he tells them another story, a human story.
And this one is just horrifying. A cook, a sailor, his own mother, and himself on the lifeboat.
Starkly different. It forces you, the listener, to really pause and think about what these two versions mean.
Because the officials, they start seeing the parallels, don't they?
They connect the dots. The hyena, that's the brutal cook. The zebra, the suffering sailor.
The orangutan, his mother, her gentleness, her fate.
And the tiger,
Right.
Richard Parker. That's Pi. His own ferocity, the survival instinct pushed to its limit.
And Pi puts it right back to them. He asks, look, neither story actually explains why the ship sank, so which story do you prefer? Which is the better story?
And then that killer line.
And so it goes with God.
That's
Just
fair.
floors you.
It really does. Martel isn't necessarily saying the animal's story is factually true. He's suggesting, I think, that the better story might be the one that gives life meaning, the one that allows for beauty, for awe, maybe even for God, in the face of meaningless horror.
It's about choosing the narrative that sustains you.
Precisely. Martel himself summed it up, didn't he? Life is a story. You can choose your story. A story with God is the better story. It's powerful stuff. He even found echoes in real life, like that Edgar Allan Poe story, also featuring a shipwrecked character named Richard Parker.
That's right. The resonance is amazing. And the book's impact, well, it speaks for itself. You mentioned the sales, the prize.
Yeah.
Even President Obama wrote to Martel.
Yeah, calling it an elegant proof of God and the power of storytelling.
Yeah.
That's quite the endorsement.
And then the film, the plays, it translates so well.
It really does.
So Life of Pi, it's this incredible blend, adventure, philosophy, and just the undeniable power that stories hold for us.
Absolutely. It leaves you thinking long after you finish it. Which leads to our final thought for you.
Go on.
How does this idea from Life of Pi, this concept of the better story, connect with your own life? Which narratives do you choose, consciously or unconsciously, to believe in and live by? Something to ponder.